Have you ever felt physically unnerved and disturbed after a series of events left you without any power or any ability to control your situation? Well, I recently had an experience involving one of my closest friends that honestly may have led to us never talking again. This experience was quite unnerving, and I figured it might be well enough just to tell you guys. You won't find this on Let's Not Meet or really written down anywhere, as this is a true story about yours truly. I'm still kind of reeling from the event, and honestly, I figured this could be a video to hold you guys over until I can actually produce some more well-made and well-deserving content for all of you amazing people. So that being said, why don't I tell you about this odd story involving my drunk driving friend. When I was a lot younger, a lot of my friends used to be a lot more close than they are now. Mainly because I had to move a lot when I was younger. And because of this constant moving and shifting around, I drifted apart from most of the people whom I would refer to as a friend. However, one person has always been there for me, and has always been one of the closest people I could ever have interacted with, and has been there ever since I was about 4 years old, has recently caused this unnerving experience to happen. All because of a series of unfortunate events that I don't think I can forgive him for. This happened to take place on the same day I did that 100k live stream about Sonichu with my buddies Blaming on George and Jeffroid. It was a great live stream, and at the end, after I closed it down, I got a message on Skype from one of my longtime friends who I will not mention his name, but we have been family friends for a long time, and I think I've actually talked about him in my Urban Legend video. But nonetheless, this person messages me on Skype saying that he wants to hang out with me and drive around for a bit, listen to music. I am not really one to like to drive around in cars. Honestly, cars make me feel physically ill and uncomfortable. So I avoid motorized transportation at all costs. If I can walk somewhere, I'll walk. If I can walk somewhere, I will take the shortest route possible or pay a professional to do it like a taxi. However, after a little bit of convincing, he tells me that we'll go out and see a movie. I've been wanting to see the Captain America movie for such a long time now. However, I've lacked proper transportation to get there, and arranging a taxi to take me to and from the movie theater is a hard and arduous task that I don't want to risk. Really, the last thing I want to do is burden my parents with being forced to pick me up just in case if the taxi doesn't come when they're supposed to. Or better yet, just in case if a taxi fee becomes just simply too much. In exchange for this service, I offered to pay for his gas, and, well, that was that. After about 20 or so minutes, he arrives at our house. I get into his car, let my parents know that I'm going to be gone, and that I was genuinely looking forward to a awesome time with my longtime friend who I haven't spoken to in forever. However, that's not what exactly happened. A little bit of backstory. My friend has been dealing with a lot of issues as of late, and we had a little bit of a falling out during one summer when he said that he couldn't really talk to me as he needed to focus on his family. We haven't talked properly for about 3 years since then. And while I found his reasoning for not talking with me at all stupid, I respected his choice. So having him contact me out of the blue like this was rather strange and a nice surprise. It's been forever, honestly. Number 2, the time in which he offered to see this movie with me during my time was around 11. The movie started at 11:30. He got here at 11:10, leaving us with 20 perfect minutes to actually go and get into the movie theater, with 15 minutes to spare in order to see the actual screening with, well, you know, commercials and all. At this point, it's dark, and I haven't eaten today, so I'm also hungry. I go outside, get into his car, and we start driving towards the movie theater, but I notice real quickly that we aren't taking the usual route, nor are we taking the fastest route. Me and my friend begin to talk. This friend expressed to me that he had been drinking quite heavily earlier, but he's been driving for a while now, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. However, the more I drive around with him, the more I realize that he has absolutely no intention of seeing this movie, taking intentional back roads and doing his best to try to convince me that we won't be able to make it there in time, despite the fact that we had plenty of time to go. This saddened me, and I quickly realized where this is going. He started talking to me about what he did that day, and there was long periods of silence where we would listen to music. Eventually, we had been driving in circles for so long that we've missed the movie entirely. About 30 minutes has passed by at this point, and if I wanted to go see that movie, I would have to ignore the first 15 or so minutes. At this time, I'm trying to rationalize or justify this to myself, and trying to properly explain why exactly this is happening. After all, he's my best friend. I mean, he wouldn't do anything bad to me. Maybe he was taking the right roads, it was dark after all, and I don't really know the area that well. It's not like I drive myself, and the only time I've seen this was out some sort of window during the day. So it's very possible that I simply didn't know where I was and where he was going. And maybe it wasn't that he didn't want to see a movie, even though he did express he didn't want to sit down for a long time. Maybe there was something behind this. So I suggested we go to a restaurant or bar. I haven't eaten, and I'm starving, and I would like to sit down, have a drink, and get to know my friend again. Of course, at this point, he says, alright, we can't see a movie, but maybe we can do this. We start driving around a little longer, and we look at restaurants. I say, oh, let's go to that one. He says, no, let's not. And eventually we find ourselves driving along a really dark road. There are no lights, no other cars, and on either side of us, you could see branches and trees. Overhead of us, you couldn't even see the moon because the trees formed a little bit of an arc where the branches would actually go over the road, creating a little bit of a canopy almost. That's when he suggested, hey, wanna do McDonald's or Wendy's or something? I'm sitting here thinking to myself, we've been driving now for about 45 minutes. And all I fucking wanted to do was see a movie or eat some fucking food. And now he's trying to suggest we go to a fast food place? Where the fuck are we going to in a hurry? I respond with, oh, I would really like to just sit down and talk and do something else. Honestly, being in a car is just making me uncomfortable. He responds with, oh, well, I was at a wedding, and I've been sitting all day and drinking, and honestly, I don't want to sit down. So clearly, we're at an impasse, but of course, he's the one with the keys, so guess who has to deal with driving around even more without any food or anything of that nature. So, once again, we drove around, and at this point, I was steaming, and I was just listening to music. Eventually, we stopped by a Wendy's, and I order myself 20 spicy chicken nuggets. And my cousin orders himself, using my money, a, what you would call it, one of their 1-for-1 menu thing. It's like 4-for-1, where they get 4 items for $1 each, I think. Either way, I am unsure what the thing is actually called. Then we get back on the road, and my friend starts talking to me about family issues, personal love life issues, and general funny stories that I was really not in the mood to hear. But once again, we're driving. That's when I realized at home, we are missing soda. So we stopped by a place called Myers, and I purchased myself a 12-pack of Baja Blast. I know you've been listening for quite a while now, and you're wondering where the fuck does this get creepy? Well, let me tell you the part where it gets unnerving. One thing you should know is that I cut out a lot of time here. During the time that it took us to go to Wendy's and Meijer, at least a couple of hours have passed due to the fact that we kept taking scenic routes. A couple hours have passed, and right now it's probably around 1 to 2 in the morning. And I got food, but I'm not allowed to eat it. I got soda, but I'm unable to drink it. And now we're just driving. And once again, we're driving through that same damn road that has that real strange canopy where the moon's blocked out and the only thing you can see in front of you is your own headlights. We're driving. My cousin's talking, and then going silent, turning on music, and then turning it down and talking again. And as we continued to talk, a deer ran right in front of the car, and my friend actually swerved into the woods nearby. We hit a tree. However, the car's front was still drivable. The only thing was that the tires were low and we were almost completely out of gas. And to be honest, we couldn't get the car started again. Assuming that this was a issue related to the gas, me and him began pushing the car down the road as there was a gas station just down the road. It was a family-owned gas station, and we figured that the pumps might still work if no one is there. So we walk for a total of 1 hour and 20 minutes. I'm completely silent and pissed off, while my friend is kind of just listening to the music. We had the car still on, and honestly, we were listening to the radio the entire time. But as you kind of know me, I don't really listen to music, so all it made me do is realize that he had a terrible taste in music on his phone. After about that hour and a half of walking with the pushing of his car, we eventually make it to this gas station. We push the car by the pump, and I go inside to see if we can pay for gas. And that's where things get a little weird. This is a brand spanking new gas station, and it's being ran by a mom and pop, or what I think is a mom and pop, because I honestly can't see any rational gas station owner or gas station company running their place like this. The only person behind the counter was a bald, skinny man. It almost looked as though he had some sort of cancer, as it looked like he'd gone through chemotherapy, or it looks like he simply been through a lot. He was deathly thin, and he had dark bags under his eyes. The bald man also was wearing a red shirt with a pocket on it. However, the red shirt had many bleach stains all over it. The man was constantly shaking and rubbing his fingers together. His fingernails themselves were yellow, darkened, and cracked, as though it was a anti-smoking commercial literally being flaunted in front of your face, of them telling you what will become of you if you keep on smoking. I walk up to him and I say that I want to put $20 on the pump. He looks at me and he speaks. $20 on the pump? I don't know. You're not a minor, are you? No, I'm not a minor. Good. I didn't want to have to call the police. I'm kind of sick of the minors walking around here and trying to get out of their curfews. Oh. Well, I'm not a minor, sir. I can assure you that. Can I see your ID? Luckily, I had gotten my ID several weeks ago, so I pulled out my wallet and I showed him. Kinda looks... No, this is legit. Alright, $20 on the pump. Well, the pump is kind of messed up, so you're gonna have to let me do it for you. His voice was very raspy, and the way that the man talked was very slow, methodical, and almost like he was spitting venom with each word he said, as though he didn't want me there. Also, I should mention that the inside of the gas station's lights were all fucked up. Only about half of them were on, and it had that sterile white light that really can make anyone feel completely unnerved. One of them was also blinking, which was really odd because that meant that this new place, mind you, had electrical problems, which leads to my theory that no self-respecting franchise would let this happen. The man walks out with a limp. He appears to be using a cane. And another thing I should note, that this person, although he looked deathly frail and skinny, did not look any older than 25 years of age. We start walking to the gas pump, and he starts doing something to the back of it. He used his key and opened a back internal slot, and that's when I stopped paying attention to what the fuck he was doing. After about 10 minutes of him fiddling with this gas pump, eventually it starts working. But here's where the issue comes about. He looks at my friend straight in the eye and asks, "You're not a miner, are you?" To which my friend replies with, "What the fuck does it matter to you?" "Well, you know it's past curfew. It's 2 in the morning on a Saturday. That means that if I call the police and you are a minor, you could be arrested or fined." "Oh yeah? Well, I'm old enough to fucking drive. I mean, this asshole isn't driving. I'm the one wasting my time, my car, and all that jazz. So why don't you just sit your ass back down, get that fucking pump working, and take our money?" The man looked at me, then looked at him. It gave us a strange, slow twitch. His shoulder seemed to be slumped, while his other shoulder seemed to be moving in a manner that suggests he was trying to move the muscles in that part. Honestly, this whole expression reminded me of a stroke or some sort of horror movie where they have the villain move in a very disjointed manner. It looked like he was about to pop a vein. And then he speaks up. "Get the fuck off of my gas station. You paid your fucking money. Now get off before something fucking happens. You won't like what happens, so trust me, you won't." Cousin looks at him. "Fuck you too, old man. I don't give a fucking shit what you think. I've already had a long night, and what the fuck are you gonna do? Fucking give me AIDS, faggot? Kill yourself." My cousin gets into his car and then shuts the door, slamming it even. I felt so sorry for the dude. But that's when I noticed him holding out a pen and notepad, which he must have kept in his pocket. He seemed to be writing down his license plate number. He also still happened to have my ID, and he also wrote down something that was off of my ID before giving it back to me and walking back towards his gas station. And that's when we drove off. I was absolutely horrified, and I didn't even know what the fuck to do. I am pretty sure that my friend is going to be getting a visit from the police. But this guy had my ID. He wrote down my fucking address. He knows my date of birth, my zip code, my address, and that I'm an organ donor. So honestly, I haven't even left my house for several days, and I'm unsure what I really should do. I don't know where this gas station was at, because, as I said, we've been driving around for hours. and I don't know the area that well. I don't know who this man was, and he seemed to be livid, not only with me, but my cousin. The only reason why he did the pump to begin with was because I happened to have money, and I happened to prove him wrong. The moment I walked into that gas station, he looked at me like he wanted to strangle me. There was a sense that he had hate in his heart, and that's all that was in there. I don't know. Any suggestions? Hey, sorry if this video wasn't really up to the standards you guys are used to. I just wanted to produce something for you today that you guys might enjoy. This actually happened to me, and I don't care if you guys say this is fucking fake. I am honestly nervous, and because I run a Let's Not Meet True Story well, not website, but, you know, channel, I figured that you guys might enjoy this tale about my life. Remember, this actually happened the day of the 100K live stream. So, yeah. If you want to hear more stories like this, please go donate to my Patreon. Really, any dollar helps. Also, if you wanted to be added to a exclusive Skype group, which can be called at any time, or use to contact me, donate $10 or more, and you'll be able to ask me any questions, suggest any stories, or even promote your own content to me, and I might take a look at your very own Let's Not Meet stories. I'm not really trying to push this as something that you need to do, but really, when you have a channel my size, I don't make enough to really live off of. So the Patreon money helps me fill in the gaps that are left by the lack of ad revenue. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I hope to see you on my next Let's Not Meet video. Or maybe you'll happen to notice that I've been working on this project. Have you ever heard of Lost Media? Well, keep an eye out for the top 20 Lost Horror Media, which should be appearing on my channel possibly this or next Friday. That being said, I'm out.